You're listening to Wet Shaving Talk, powered by Sharpologist.com, where we're dedicated to preserving the art and skill, classic shaving. I'm your host, Joe Borrelli, and today is August 19th, 2024. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast on a very, I'd say, very interesting episode coming up here, because there's some interesting stuff going on in the wet shaving world, which I found, well, I guess you can say interesting over the last 2 weeks. A few things going on, a few new concepts happening, some new products, and a very rare razor that went on for auction, which brought some pretty serious funds over the last few days. I thought it was very cool to see that. So I guess the word of the week for our podcast would be the word interesting, because there's just a lot of cool stuff going on in the wet shaving world. So first off, hope this finds you well. I know it's been a very long summer for some of us out there with all the weather and all that stuff going on. But you know what? A couple things in the works. Yep, fall's on its way, guys, and that's when we start talking about the fall products, and that is the best time of the wet shaving season, in my opinion. That, and I also think the holiday season is pretty good too. So today on the show, we're going to talk about a very rare Gillette razor that was in a big auction. Not many bids, but big money, and no, it was not a bottom dial or a toggle. I'll tell you exactly what it was. And why it's rare, and why it goes under the radar with all collectors. Well, many collectors. I went one stone honing with my trusty Dovo razor, so I had to hone one of my favorite razors that I use pretty often, and I decided to go, instead of going through a whole progression of honing with synthetic stones and stuff, I went a one stone honing and did set the bevel. Basically got it all sharp and ready to go with one stone. So I'll discuss that as well, and how I did it, and how long it took me, and why I find it very interesting. Why, again, that word interesting and fun. The fall season is coming up. Fall seasonal special will be 10/28, so that'll be October 28th, and it's going to have a special segment which I'll discuss when I get to that part of the show today. I think you might really like it if you've been listening to the show for a few years. And finally, let's really get the word interesting and use it again, because plant-based synthetic brush knots from Mule, and it was an article on Sharpologist which I just saw the other day, and I thought, whoa, now this is really something cool to talk about. So we'll discuss that as well. So guys, with a packed show this week. A couple other notes. I completely shaved off my beard, so I was kind of sporting a beard for the last 3 years. I said the other day, about a week ago, I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go back the old way. Took it all off, so now I've been doing my razor has been getting more use, instead of just trimming up like my neck and part of my cheekbones and stuff. I'm completely clean shaved and going back to the old way. And my razors are getting more mileage now. They're getting some action, which is actually pretty fun, and I'm having a good time with that as well. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. So recently, we had a super rare Gillette Techmatic go for auction on eBay. Now, this is not to be confused with the 1960s injector style Techmatic. That was probably one of the worst razors that Gillette ever made, and was also the one that went on the moon or the Apollo mission. They brought that on the Apollo mission, but it was also not a very good razor. It has like a band in it. It's a cartridge razor that the only cartridge razor that Gillette makes that they don't make cartridges for anymore. Not to be confused with that. This is a 1940s Techmatic. This is an injector style razor that never made it to production. This is only prototypes were out there. There's only a handful of them that know, and this one's got the case and everything. It's a gold plated, basically it looks like a regular just Gillette razor with an injector style for the blades, which are also like double edge blades in there. So the blade is fixed, the head is fixed on it. You inject it with the actual injector little contraption that comes with it. And this razor, I think there's only about a handful of them known, went for $3,300. I think probably less than it should have, but it went up there for pretty high. Not the most perfect example out there. I think Razor Emporium has a better one where it's a little bit better shape, but this one's pretty cool. And to be able to find this anywhere, whoever found it or had it must have been like a Gillette employee from, I mean, we're talking 60, 70 years, 80 years ago now. It's really, truly a gem. I mean, it really is something fun and something very rare. This blows the bottom dial / even serial toggles away with those rare pieces from Gillette. If you guys are not familiar, bottom dial Gillette is the Gillette with the adjustment dial on the bottom. There was approximately, probably about 100,000 of those made, maybe less. You know, I forget. It's not that much compared to a regular Gillette Fat Boy where there was millions. And then you have some of those serial toggle razors where they were prototypes as well, and they went in test markets and stuff. And there were only probably a few thousand of those too. This one you're looking at, I think there's only about 3 or 4, maybe 5 known examples of it today. So this is probably, if not the rarest Gillette razor you can get, and that's why it brought some serious money at an auction. But think about it. I mean, you can get one of the rarest things from a hobby, one of the rarest items there, and it's only, I know $3,300 is a lot of money, but if you like to collect, I would say like Omega watches or Rolexes, you're talking the most rarest pieces. You're talking well into the tens of millions. So this is cool to have something like that. The owner, I wish you good luck if you are listening. We salute you here at the What Shaving Podcast, and remember, keep it in good condition because you can't get another one, and probably don't use the blades if you don't have to. One stone honing with the Dovo, guys. This is something where I really enjoy honing razors, and I do find it fun and kind of therapeutic at times, especially when I'm having like a long week or a rough week. It's something fun just to sit back and just really, I guess, just do something that most people can't. You know, a lot of people that are out of this wet shaving hobby don't know how to hone razors or even know about honing razors. And for us to be able to do that, it's pretty cool. And for me, it's become like more of a hobby with the honing as well, collecting lots of stones and stuff. I have several stones and several strops and paste and stuff that I use to get my razor sharp. But sometimes you just want to use a little different technique and some different skill. So I'm a big fan of the Belgian cuticle. For those of you just listening for the first time or unfamiliar or saying, Joe, what's a cuticle? Belgian cuticle is a stone, a wet stone. It's a sharpening stone that is harvested from rocks or veins or whatever they call it, from a particular mountain range in Europe, the Adren mountain range. So these rocks come from a certain part of it. They're harvested in Belgium. They used to be very popular way back in the day. Now there's only one producer making these rocks, and it's called the Adren Conical Company, and they send it out. So if you get one from another vendor or you get it from Amazon or something like that, it's rest assured it's all coming from that place. There's a guy named Maurice that runs it. He's I think second or third generation worker or stone master or whatever he is, and he sends them out, and it's all sent out from this one place. So these stones are known for being able to, they're very good for sharpening straight razors and for like chisels and stuff like that, something where you need something very sharp. So there's a couple techniques with honing with these type of razors, and most of them you are rubbing two stones together and creating like what's called a slurry or a thick film, like a muddy substance, to where that actually helps the razor and makes it more coarse and helps it get sharper faster, right? You can get more of aggressive grit per se. There's no grits on this stone, but it's more like resistance on it, I guess you can call it. But a lot of guys will go, hey, this is grit. So a muddier slurry would make it to be like 1,000 grit. And then when you're using the stone by itself, it's like 8,000 grit, right? So what you want to do is you want to set the razor. So what I did is I had my razor. I wanted to set the bevel on it, or set the initial cutting edge on it, so where it's sharp, and then you start refining it from there. And I took the stone. I made a huge slurry. I took the edge of the razor. I took it over a glass and completely muted it, completely dulled out, and destroyed a little microfin that usually is on it. That's the cutting edge. And I started to just do some circles and go some X strokes, which is basically circling on the stone with the slurry until the razor basically starts to begin sharp. It does take a few minutes, and it's important to stay even. And then how do you know when it's starting to get sharp? Is it'll start cutting arm hair. You'll start feeling it cut arm hair and have some resistance on it, and then you can start moving on. And you basically dilute the slurry with water, and what it does is it lightens up the grit. It will start at 1,000 grit, and now it'll be like 2,000 grit with a couple sprays, or 3,000 grit. And you do that until you get to straight water, and then your razor is razor sharp. Now, I kind of mentioned it in a few seconds here. I don't want to take too much time on it because it is kind of confusing, but it is a lot of fun to do. It does take a little bit longer than when using a synthetic stone, because synthetic stones do cut faster because you're at the actual grit you want to be at. This is at a grit you're trying to create. And it does take, when you get good at it, you can go pretty quickly with it. And you need a razor that's in good shape. You don't want any chips or anything like that in the blade. So this razor was in good shape. It just needed a refresh, and took some, and it was not being effective, was just dropping, right? It wasn't getting that sharp anymore. Parts of the blade were starting to get dull. Like the edges were good, but the middle of it wasn't, because I tend to ride the razor in the middle a lot when I shave. And it just was time. Like I just couldn't get the razor even anymore. And when it starts to tug a little bit. It might take a few shaves for you to realize it, but it does. And it's time to hone it. So I used the cuticle I have. I don't have a very expensive cuticle. I have a small one. It's about 6 inches long, and about, at its widest point, probably about 2.5 inches wide. And I got it done. And I was really proud because it's been a while since I've done that. Usually I use the synthetic stones, and I was like, the shave is great. I didn't even use any paste after it, just stropped it up and went with it. So I apologize if you're not a straight razor guy, and I'm a little off and it's a little confusing. But I did write a couple articles about it, so the honing guide on Sharpologist, you can take a look, and it's more information for you there. And if you want to learn about honing, send me a email, and I'll definitely help you out or get you the right resources to do so. So that's all, guys. Had a good time with honing the razor. Got it sharp, and I've been shaving with it for about a week now. It's been perfect. Been getting some great shaves, especially now that I got rid of the beard. And I feel like $1 million when I go to work in the morning. So one stone's honing, highly recommend it with some practice. So Barrister and Mann has a brand new fall release, which is great because it's been some time since they have. They have a lot of their older releases that they bring back every year, but this is a brand new one. Season of the Witch. Pre-orders, I'm sorry guys, just closed out on Sunday, but if you're a Barrister and Mann fan, they'll have plenty in stock come time when they come to release it, which I believe will be in the first week of October. The scent on this is definitely, there's a whole story about the Salem witch trials in Massachusetts, and the scent is going to be that, again, it's going to be like one of those damp, musky, like really, I guess, it smells like kind of like if you're walking in the woods type thing with a little bit of smoke in it. And this is really cool. There's a whole story behind it on the back of the label, if you look at the labels and stuff. So it's got a lot going on. It's basically about the witch trials in Salem, which is a very cool place if you haven't been. I have been to Salem once. I was only there briefly, but it is very cool if you're into Halloween, especially if you want to go and it's not Halloween. It's always Halloween there. They've always got something going on with that. They have a witch museum. They have tons of stuff, tons of shops. It's really cool. And this is kind of basing this on those witch trials back in the 1700s. So again, if you like those old musky fall-like mossy type scents, I have a feeling this is going to be just like that, because this is kind of how that fall release goes with Barrister and Mann. I will be getting one. I missed the pre-order. I kind of forgot about it and fell asleep and should have put it in for it, but I will buy it when it comes out and try it and let you guys know if it's out soon. So Barrister and Mann, we're looking forward to seeing your latest release for Halloween. The fall seasonal special is coming up. It is going to be the 9th, I believe, fall season special. 9th, 8th or 9th. I've been doing this since 2016, and this is my favorite show of the year. Like, I really enjoy building up this show and getting it for you guys. It takes a lot of time and effort, but it's well worth it. And this year, I'm adding a special section that will feature the Hall of Fame of the fall season, which will have fall items that were made a true impact in the wet shaving world. These are items from the last 10 years that have been produced since the fall items have been very popular, and some of these will be still in production. Most of them will not be in production. Some of the vendors are even no longer in business. So you won't want to miss this show. It's going to be a little longer than the traditional fall season special, but it will be well worth it, because I'm going to have that Hall of Fame section. And I think it's going to be really cool. I've already started working on it, and I'm really excited because there's some really cool stuff that came out in the past 10 or 12 years that you sometimes forget as time goes by. You know, I'll feature a couple of the first Holy Black releases and the first Barrister and Mann releases, and some Phoenix Artisan Accoutrement stuff. There's a lot of stuff going to be out there. There's going to be some vendors no longer in business, and it'll be like a one-stop shop for everything fall related, as well as the usual new stuff that's out and currently available. If you're interested in seeing a previous show, I have all the links in the show notes here. You can click on it and listen to it from 2016 to 2023. Save the date. It's going to be on the 28th of October. And finally, to round off the interesting aspect of this podcast this week, and I love that word because this is truly that, plant-based synthetic brushes. And when I heard, I was like, whoa. I could not believe when I saw that on Sharpologist. I thought that was so cool. So Mule is a shaving brush company that have made a STF silver tip fiber, where it's a brush where the fibers are 37% plant-based. It's actually industrial dent corn, to be exact, which is not used for consumption. And I put a chart in the show notes on how it's actually made. So they harvest the corn, and then they ferment it and cook it just kind of like what you do with alcohol. And during the fermentation, the process replaces the chemical synthesis. Excuse me. And it produces a compound which is basically coming out as like a fiber, where they can create it into like a resin based, like almost like a hair-like fiber. And what it does is it creates a brush that's kind of like not as dense as a badger brush, but can retain water like one. So it's a little bit, the backbone's not as strong, but it still retains water, and it's 100%. Well, not 100%, but it's 37% renewable, and the rest of it's resin, so it's mixed in there with it. I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was really cool. I thought that possibly one of the most interesting things I've seen in a long time in the wet shaving world, and I think definitely worth a look. Or checking it out when it comes out in the future. If this is something, if you're really into renewable resources, and if you are into like vegan brushes, you're kind of getting there with this. Like this is just more renewable, and this is actually something to where I guess the end all goal is to, hey, how can we make a brush that, just in case there's no more badger hair, it's completely renewable. Because guys, eventually, there are certain laws and stuff like that. You can't ship badgers in certain countries and certain areas. So there might be some areas of concern there in the future that maybe we won't be using badger hair for brushes anymore, right? I know Art of Shaving stopped. They use synthetic now. Some companies are stopping. And this might be the answer. So looking forward to seeing more of this, more perfected, probably product coming out. I'm sure they're going to be working on it, getting even better, and maybe it'll be even the same, if not even better than a natural brush. So looking forward to seeing more on this. If you are interested in reading the article at Sharpologist, I put a link in the show notes. All right, everybody. So that concludes the podcast for this week. I am so happy to be able to bring some cool stuff for you. This past 2 weeks was really interesting in the wet shaving world. Again, that word interesting. I don't know why I keep using it. It felt right. So our next show will be on the 3rd of September. And if you do get a chance to check out a few things, check out that. I do want to emphasize again. Check out on that the new brush concept. I think it's really interesting, cool. If you're looking into wet shaving stuff and you're really interested, again, interesting. I keep using that word, in that as well. Remember, our show is powered by Sharpologist.com. What your father didn't teach you about shaving. Don't forget to check out my blog, shavestraightandsafe.com, and email me at any time, joe.wetshavingnews@gmail.com. And also, if you get a chance, check out my book. It's available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback, The Modern Guide to Straight Razor Shaving. Until September 3rd, guys, shave straight and shave safe. Bye-bye now.